Hello, friends, and welcome to Pour and Explore wine, food, and travel stories from around the world. I'm Nick Elliott, the Wine Guy. This is where we sip, savor, and wander through the world of wine, explore incredible food, and uncover the stories behind unforgettable destinations. Each week, you'll hear engaging conversations with wine pros, chefs, travelers, and fellow enthusiasts, plus educational episodes to help you sip smarter and explore deeper. So, grab a glass, pull up a chair, and let's pour, explore, and celebrate the good life. Let's dive in. Hey everyone, and welcome back to Pour and Explore. I'm Nick Elliott, the Wine Guy. If you're just joining the conversation, I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I am a classically trained chef, certified sommelier, but most importantly, I am a traveler who believes the best way to understand a place is to get your boots in the dirt and taste the results. Now, I love to travel, and getting there is half the fun. Every place that I've traveled to has been there's been great enjoyment and has been very enlightening. But for me, sometimes the most important part of any journey isn't just the wandering, it's what happens after I get back home. The moment of truth isn't always in a vineyard or in a hidden market in Mexico City. Often it happens 3 weeks or a month later, sitting in my own home, opening a bottle that shouldn't exist in my zip code and or sharing a jar of something special with my friends and family and neighbors. Today, we're talking about bringing a little bit of the world home with you. And I'm going to share with you my personal field notes on the raw logistics of finding amazing things while traveling and bringing them home to enjoy. From the hunt for the only here bottle to the secret of a hard-sided suitcase in traveling. And we're also going to talk about hosting an amazing homecoming for your friends. So stick around because I'm going to tell you why your choice of luggage is the only thing standing between a perfect homecoming and a suitcase full of ruined clothes and broken glass. Thanks for being here today. The hunt really begins on the ground. When I'm wandering through a local market or a dusty back alley wine cellar in a place that I've never been, I'm looking for product that speak to a specific sense of place, the terroir, the people, and the culture. I am looking for that most important connection, something that was cared for and crafted sometimes long before I even arrived. Specifically, I'm looking for those only here items. I want that bottle of wine or liqueur or that food stuff that you simply cannot find anywhere else. I am, especially here in the States, if we're talking about traveling abroad. But if we're traveling within the US, something that's produced in New York and you can't get anywhere outside of New York that you want to bring back to California, or something that is only produced in Washington and you live in Tennessee, is it's a great way to bring back those memories with you. Maybe it's a bottle of liqueur made from, I don't know, a mountain herb in the Alps, or a wine from a producer so small they don't even have a distributor. These are not souvenirs that I'm talking about. These are not refrigerator magnets, that you're going to stick on your fridge and never look at. These are memories that you're going to bring home with you as something that you're going to taste and feel and enjoy. And share them. That is what this episode is all about, is bringing back those, again, memories of something that you tasted or something that you enjoyed, and enjoying them again and sharing them when you get back home. Once you've found that liquid gold or that jar of sauce that you can only find in Latin America, eh, I've lived out of a suitcase on more times than I can count. Vineyards and hostels across the globe. And I've learned a lot of things about how to protect those things that you found, those gems that you found out there on the road. So I'm going to share with you now some of my favorite tricks for getting them home in one piece. And the rule of thumb, or the rule number one, I should say, is a hard-sided suitcase is non-negotiable. You absolutely have to have I always bring one hard-sided suitcase with me. It's usually a smaller one because I don't like to bring things back that are too heavy. But a hard-sided suitcase is the most important piece of equipment that you can have when coming back from a trip with stuff, with those liquid souvenirs, if you will. You know, if you're traveling with a soft-sided bag, you are absolutely asking for heartbreak. You need that rigid shell to absorb the impact of all of the taxi cabs and the baggage handlers. Nothing else will do. I can guarantee you that because I've made that mistake, but not again. As for the interior or the packing of those things, if you're talking about glass, obviously you need to protect that glass, whether it's a jar or a bottle. I am a fan of the wine skins, those bubble wrap looking things that fit a bottle. You can also fit a few jars of jelly or mustard, whatever sauce, whatever you're bringing home with you inside of those as well. And they are a great tool, and I usually have a few of those tucked in my bag. I typically carry 3 or 4 of those with me when I'm traveling because I just never know what I'm going to bring home with me. I usually do bring something home with me, but I don't know how many. If you don't have them or you run out, uh, don't panic. Don't panic because there are great, easy ways to use what you have. So my advice to you is make sure that you are wrapping every single bottle very tightly in your clothing, large pieces of clothing, softer clothing. Blue jeans work really well, sweaters work really well, something a little bit thicker that's going to absorb the shock. You want to wrap your bottles tightly in that clothing and ensuring that they are padded on every side, including the top and the bottom. That's really important. The key is to pack them as compactly as you possibly can, and most importantly, toward the center of the suitcase. You never want to allow those glass bottles or jars to hit the sides of your suitcase. If you think about lining the inside of the suitcase with the clothes, and packing the wrapping glass bottles or jars in the clothing, and then packing them all towards the center of the suitcase is going to be the most important thing. You want to have those buffer zones of socks or t-shirts acting as a shock absorber on the perimeter, the top and the bottom and the sides of the suitcase. It is, there's a little bit of bravery involved, but we can really play with the physics a little bit to make sure that we are packing everything properly. So you're actually going to be able to enjoy it when you get home. So that's my advice on that. And yeah, I can say with a lot of confidence and through trial and error, I bring back at least one bottle or jar of something everywhere that I've traveled, which is a lot. And these techniques have always worked, well, not always. I didn't know them at first, so I had to figure it out the hard way. But ever since that, I've been using the techniques above. I haven't had any issues. Hopefully, those work out for you as well. Now, let's talk a little bit about actually getting them home. When we are traveling from a foreign country, for example, we always have to go through customs. And as someone who has planned journeys through dozens of borders, I can tell you when it comes to customs, honesty is the best policy. Now, I've never run into an issue with customs because I make it my business to understand what the laws and the rules are for bringing different items into the country before I even land. So I think educating yourself is going to be really important as to what you can bring in. In most cases, you can bring in a certain amount of liters of a liquid in your checked baggage when you're coming in. You never want to bring in any type of fresh foods. So don't go to Panama and bring back a bundle of bananas because that's not going to get past customs. I can almost guarantee that, especially if you're being honest about it. You can try, but I don't recommend it. And every country, I'm talking as someone who is here in the US, but if you live abroad and you are traveling from country to country abroad, every country has its different limits on wine, liquor, food, cigars. Definitely do your homework because when you walk through that customs enforcement of whatever country at the airport, you need to be direct. You don't want to get yourself in trouble over an orange that you brought back from Italy. It does not make sense to do that. You want to tell them exactly what you have. And when you treat the process with the authority of someone who knows the rules, I can tell you that it's a breeze. So again, make sure that you are following the rules. Make sure you know what the rules are for your particular country that you're traveling back to. I know here in the States we've got lots of rules. I am up to speed on what those rules are for when I am traveling back. So, just a little advice for someone who does it all the time. Now, I want to talk a little bit about the homecoming. When I bring back that amazing bottle of wine or that jar of pickles or olives from Italy, it's it's my custom to have a little get together. I should say our custom, my wife's and mine's our custom is to have a little get together where we bring together our friends and family and neighbors to have a little party, to showcase the amazing things that we found while we were traveling. And my custom is to let the food and the drink do the talking. I invite the friends and neighbors over. I pull those corks on those bottles and I'll set out the spreads. And for that matter, I love to showcase all of the things that I brought home, but in a way that really speaks to the place. I'll showcase that mustard from France or the chilera from Costa Rica, the bull's blood wine from Hungary, or the wine gums from Great Britain. So I will plan an entire menu around the things that I've brought home and through food and drink, reminisce about the experience. I could tell you it sure beats a slideshow on the TV. Oh, here's a picture of my whatever, my plate of food. How about you actually bring the recipe home with you and prepare that food for the people that you love the most? And on top of that, I don't just pour the wine, I'll drop a little knowledge on them too. When I'm out there, I'm not just bringing home the stuff for the stuff's sake. I want to know about the thing that I'm bringing home. For example, the last little get together we put together was after our trip to Europe, which included Switzerland and France, Germany, Luxembourg, and the Netherlands. So I was able to bring home some beautiful wine from Germany, some ice wine from Germany, which is a nice sweet wine. And with that, I told the story about the vineyard that it was from and meeting the winemaker and being in the cellar and how it was made and when it was cultivated, and a little bit about the story of the family who grew the grapes and made the wine. Similarly, we brought back probably too much cheese from the Netherlands, and it really was an eye-opening experience for me as well as my guests, just sitting around and enjoying cheeses that just are not available here in the US. They might very well be available in the rest of Europe, but it's not something that you readily find here at a grocery store in the US. Beautiful Gouda cheeses, Gouda cheese with olives inside, or Gouda cheese that's been aged for 5+ years. Really fabulous stuff. And I was able to talk about the cheese and the wine because I actually went to the place where it was produced and met the people who make it. And what made it so enjoyable wasn't just the cheese itself, but it was learning the story behind the cheese and learning the history of the cheese and what happened during World War II that made them change where they produce the cheese. It really fun, interesting knowledge that I was able to bring home with me and then pass along to everyone else. I'll take a moment during every evening to explain exactly why I chose those specific things, talk about the hill that the grapes grew on, again, the family that made the cheese, and the amazing experience about finding them. This is how I like to transition from being a traveler to a storyteller and a not an expert by any means, but someone who has taken the time to learn about the thing. I was actually on a podcast. I was a guest on a podcast earlier today, and I talked a little bit about appreciation appreciating where, how, and by whom something is made. I don't think, especially in our culture here in the US, we don't, I feel that we don't, and of course I'm generalizing, that we don't necessarily appreciate the art and the blood, sweat, and tears that goes into producing a thing. And today I'm talking about wine and food, but of course, and liquor, but of course I could be talking about anything, piece of art or clothing, uh, coming from someone who has spent time in a place in Guatemala where they actually hand loom and they actually make their own wool thread and create beautiful garments and so on. This is this is an experience that I wanted to have because the again the culture and the history of how they do things. So I was able to bring back not only a beautiful garment with me, but I was actually able to bring back the story of the culture and the people who actually made it. So taking the time to learn that is not only going to be enrichment for you, but hopefully when you have one of these little parties, be a little more enrichment for the people that you care about the most. There's nothing like seeing the reaction of a neighbor who thinks they know wine until they taste something new that you brought back just for them. So, when you're traveling, I highly recommend bringing back some flavorful memories. Bring back those memories with you. So, sharing them with your friends and family and making something even memorable, even more memories on top of the trip itself. They will be forever grateful of the taste, the knowledge bombs, and the memories you helped them create with your warmth and your generosity. And who knows, you might just inspire them to grab something amazing from their next adventure and share it with you. Very cool. Bringing the world home is the ultimate way to keep the spirit of your journey alive. I, from someone who's done it many times, I live it. I'm going to do it again the next time I travel. We've got a trip up to, we're going to be in the States here, going to Idaho and Montana and so on. And I know I'm just going to find some amazing things up there that I probably can't find here in California. And I will absolutely bring them back and share them with my friends. It's about bridging that gap between the source and the experience and proving that the best rewards come to those who are not afraid to pour and explore. So, if you are ready to host your own moment of truth with your friends and your family, I've put together a blueprint to help you out. It is a little guide to putting together a little international, yeah, or maybe not international, a little get together for your friends. It's a downloadable document. You're going to find that on my website. And it gives you the exact framework for hosting a party that showcases your travel finds, including tips on how to quote unquote drop those knowledge bombs without being a snob. So you'll head over to my website and the wineguy.vin/downloads to grab your copy. You'll find that down and you don't feel like you have to take notes just to make sure that your next trip lives on longer after you've unpacked your bags. And I'm happy to share that with you. Thanks for listening, everyone. Thanks for spending some time with me today. I really appreciate it. And as always, keep wondering and wandering. Take care. Thanks so much for tuning in to this episode of Pour and Explore. I'd love to hear your thoughts, love to hear your stories or questions. Drop me a message at cheers@thewineguy.vin. That's cheers@thewineguy.vin. Or let's connect on TikTok, Instagram, or Facebook. Grab those links at thewineguy.vin. Until next time, let's keep wondering and wandering. Cheers, everybody.